So we're going to be looking at 5 games. These are pretty much low cost for the most part. They're all on PC. Obviously, I'm not going to cover every single game. We're going to start with just 5. And our first one is going to be a little game called Age of Empires 2. When we look at all these games, most of these games are going to have a world history slant. So they include pretty much some ancient history up to even the modern day, but for the most part, it's just general world history. Our first game is Age of Empires 2. Now keep in mind that there is a original version and a remake version. Right now, we're going to look at the remake version because this is probably the version that a lot of people are going to play. So let's take a look at this real quick. I love Age of Empires 2. Now this is the definitive edition. We're going to talk about the good things and bad things about this version. As you can see, we have various campaigns. Just in Europe alone, we can learn about Attila the Hun, Barbarossa, the Crusades. We got Joan of Arc, El Cid, all these different types of civilizations. We have Montezuma and the Aztecs and the Spanish. We have some civilizations in South Asia, Eastern Europe, Asia. We have the Mongols up here. So as you can see, and then in Africa, we have more civilizations. Saladin is right there. You also have historical battles, so if you want to just pick one specific battle, like Manzikert, which is a battle that crippled the Byzantine Empire, or you can look at the Battle of Hastings, which helped shape the English language as we know it. So you have all these different ones, you can pick them. These are individual battles, and then these are campaigns that you can pick. The remastered version, or the remake version I should say, it's fine. I mean, it fixes a lot of things. The only thing I don't like about it is I hate the UI, I hate the menu. It's just not that good, and I'll show you why in a second. One thing that it does is there's actually a whole history book in the game, but it's up here, and you have to click right here, and you're gonna see that they really dumbed it down from the original game. So you have all the things, you have the Britons, the Bengalis, all these different civilizations, and you can kind of read about them. But we're gonna jump back to the original real quick. Okay, here's the original. Now, if you don't really care about the interface or anything, just do the remake. But the one thing I like about this, if you want the original feel, it's just a lot better presentation wise. You actually have a whole history book right here, and like I said, it just has a much better feel. It's like you're actually reading a book. And also, one thing that the remake does is it actually cuts out a ton of history. So it just covered the civilizations, which you can read about, like the Magyars. But one thing that it does cut out is just like stuff about castles. So for instance, the evolutions of castles, gunpowder, we have battle tactics, we have hand weapons. But as you can see, we still have the campaign. Obviously, in this version, you're going to have less content. These are the original campaigns. The one thing I really like about these campaigns, though, is let's just click Joan of Arc real quick. Okay, so let's do the Maid of Orleans. Orleans, I think I said that right.
March 26th. Entire nation. We were filled with pride when we heard the Dauphin's heralds pronounce Jean the Maid as commander of the army of France.
So this is how I learned a lot about history as a kid. I
am the Duc d'Alençon, my lady. I will proudly ride with you to Orleans.
So as you can see right here, it's all narrated. We have our Duke right here, and we have Joan of Arc. So anyways, that is Age of Empires 2. Highly recommend checking that out. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Okay, our next game is going to be Rise of Nations. So this game is like Age of Empires. It's a strategy game. More civilizations and more ages. It's not just, as you can see, it's not just the medieval age. We're going to go all the way up to the modern age and get battleships and nuclear weapons and all that stuff. As you can see right here, you have different variations of this. It's kind of like a big game of Risk. You can role play the Napoleonic Wars. You could do the New World. But we're going to do the entire world for this. And so you can hit new campaign, and then there are so many civilizations you can pick from. So you can pick, the Lakota, the Inca, the Germans, Egyptians. We're gonna just pick random, but when you pick a civilization, each one has its own special ability, and this is going to teach you about the civilization. So like the Egyptians had the power of the Nile, the Japanese, the power of honor. So honor is super important in Japanese culture. The power of the horde for the Mongols. So we're gonna just pick a random one and see where it puts us here. Okay, we're the Maya. So as you can see, each civilization has their own units. So we can see right here that the Maya, we're eventually gonna get grenade launchers and rocket launchers, but we have a lot of slingers. So that was one of the things that they did. And we start right here in Central America. So already we're learning a lot about this, and you can go around the world and see where all these civilizations were based. So what happens is when you move your squad around, like for instance, we're just going to go right here, it goes into a real-time battle. And so you start in the ancient age, and then you basically work your way up all the way to the modern age, and then you can kind of like do these cool scenarios where the Mayans invade Europe and take over Italy and Spain. So as you can see, you have all your units. In this scenario, we're not actually building anything, but in typical matches, you'll build a base, you build units, you collect resources, all that stuff. So that is Rise of Nations, and I highly recommend that. So let's quit that campaign. One more thing about Rise of Nations is just even in the tutorial, you have all these different ages, and they are going to tell you about how to play the game, and it's going to tell you a little bit about history. So for instance, in the final tutorial, it's going to show you how World War II starts in Europe. In this tutorial, we're going to learn about invading France during the 100 Years' War. So it's a lot of good information, and it's fun. So, and you also can play multiplayer as well. So that's Rise of Nations. Next game is going to be Rome Total War. Now, just like Age of Empires, this game also has a remastered version and the original. We're going to start with the remastered, and then I'm going to show you which version I prefer. So let's click this up. If you like ancient history, this is a good game to get started on that. So you can command the Romans, but later you can actually command other civilizations like the Carthaginians. This is how I learned about the Carthaginians. But primarily it's focused on the Romans. So this is going to be a strategy game, but it's going to be what we call a real-time strategy game, where it's going to be these big armies out in the open. It's going to look sort of like this. So you're going to command hundreds of units at the same time. This is going to be a little bit more challenging than Age of Empires and Rise of Nations. In this game, you have historical battles like you did in Age of Empires. So these are all ancient battles 2,000 years ago, and it's going to tell you about them. Now, these battles are cool because they are going to provide like a narration beforehand. So let me show you what that looks like. So we're going to look at one of my favorite conflicts. We're going to look at the Punic Wars. We're going to look at the Carthaginians and Hannibal Barca versus the Romans. Man, don't you love that when like the game is like at 90%? And come on. We're gonna find out that one thing I like about the oh, here we go. I'll explain later. Here we go.
Another people, the Carthaginians, have imperial ambitions. Their empire is growing in Spain, even as the Romans secure the Italian peninsula. For Rome, Caius Flaminius has been sent north to deal with the Carthaginian problem.
So Carthaginians are invading Italy.
And it is a problem. Hannibal Barca, the greatest Carthaginian general ever, is on the march. He swore an oath to his dying father that he would never give the Romans a moment's peace. Hannibal has already kept his oath at Trebia. After that victory, he forced the Romans back onto the defensive. Now, with his army at Lake Trasimene, Hannibal plans to lure another Roman army into a brutal ambush. He has every reason to hope the Romans will cooperate in their own deaths.
So, as you can see right here, it's a full narrated event. Kind of gives you some context what's going on. The cool thing about this is we're playing as the Romans, so we can kind of, you know, the Romans get slaughtered here and they lose, but we can maybe try to do an alternative event where we do win. So this is, like I said, very realistic, and my troops are fleeing right here, but this is just a historical battle. So this is half the game. Now let me show you the other half of the game. So the other half of the game is the map where, just like Rise of Nations, you will be commanding a civilization and trying to basically conquer the world. So you start off with the 3 houses of the Romans, but later you'll be able to unlock the Carthaginians, the Seleucids, the Egyptians, the Armenians, Gaul, so all these different civilizations, but you have to start as the Romans. And I do have a campaign going right here. So right off the bat, these games, the remake version, I don't have a weak computer or anything, but the remake takes really long to load. So that's one complaint I have. Okay, so here, hold on one second. Nah, oh well. So one thing about this is here's the map. Obviously you can't see everything because we haven't explored it yet, but you start off in Italy, and it's kind of like a city management game. And you obviously have your armies, and you get to learn about the Roman civilization and kind of the world, and you have to deal with the Senate, the barbarians, the Gauls to the north, the Carthaginians to the west. It's a lot of fun. The only thing I don't like about this version is I hate the UI. The UI is terrible. Whoever designed the UI from the original did not know what they were doing here. This is the big challenge of this game, is that I've played this game before, but I could not figure out what to do with the interface. So as you can see down here is how you do stuff in the game, but it's just really kind of confusing. Things are really tiny, buttons are very tiny, and I often was just left being like, what do I do? Like, how do I make a building? How do I do this? It's the only thing I really don't like about this version, is that everything else is perfect. The graphics are good, fixes a bunch of things, but the UI just drives me nuts. So we're gonna look at the original real quickly. Okay, first things first, this game loads way faster. The menus are a lot cooler. You have like that live action stuff going on in the background, which is just awesome. So that's, once again, the older game has the better menu. Okay. So, here we go. Same thing we're looking at before. Obviously, we got the black bars on the side, but this game loads a lot faster, and the UI is just so much better. So, for instance, we're playing as the red guys up here, and it's just very clear, like, what to play. Like, right here is our construction. Right here is our units. So, it's very clear what you want to do. So, that's the big difference. You have these tabs where I feel like in the remake, it was just very confusing on where everything was. So, once again, if you don't care about the graphics, play the original. If you think the interface isn't going to bother you, play the remake. But this is such a fun game. You're going to spend hours upon hours playing this. As you can see, we're just in Italy, but it goes all the way over here to Greece, Turkey, or Anatolia. We can go all the way up to Ireland, down into Egypt. So, great game. Like I said, I've played it for hundreds and hundreds of hours. We're going to move on to the next one. Our number 4 is going to be a similar game, and that is going to be Medieval 2 Total War. So this is from the same makers as Rome Total War, but this is Medieval Total War. Now this one doesn't not have a remake or remaster. We just have the original here. I actually think this game, and I would say probably most of the community would say this one is probably the best Total War game. This game is so good. So it's really good because it's more complex than Rome Total War. Even though it's just the medieval period, it's just very complex and it's so replayable. So just like this, you're going to learn a lot about medieval times. So you're going to start in 1080 AD and you're going to go up through like the Renaissance. So 1600s. So in this game, you're going to get the bubonic plague is going to show up when it shows up historically, which is about the 1300s, and it's going to affect your towns. You're also going to get the Mongols are going to show up. And so as you can see, you have different civilizations, and so, for instance, this is going to impact how you play the game. So, like, for instance, if you were Spain, which they're down here, you really don't have to worry about the Mongols very much. But if you are Venice, or even the Holy Roman Empire, you're going to have to eventually think about the Mongols, because they're going to come your way at some point. Another cool thing is that as the game progresses, the technology will change. So like for instance, right here we have longbowmen for England. Later, you will get cannons, you'll get, you know, new types of technology. I don't want to spoil all of it, but it definitely is a lot of fun seeing the game change. Just like the previous game, you have historical battles. So you have Hastings, Agincourt, all these different battles, and some of these you might not have heard of before. For instance, this battle is so significant. The Spanish, multiple times in the New World, should have been wiped out by the Aztecs. They were outnumbered. Remember, there's only like a couple hundred Spanish in the New World at any given time in 1519, 1518-ish. 1519, I should say. And this is a huge battle where the Spanish are on the run, hugely outnumbered, and through some circumstances, they actually win the battle. And so this talks about what happens. And so it is one of those things that I highly recommend playing, and you'll be like, well, why did the Aztecs lose? Well, this is a good example. Okay, let's go. Let me show you the campaign. I think this is the Holy Roman Empire.
Left click on the boxes that slide down the left of the screen.
Shush. So, as you can see right here, just like Rome Total War, we're here in Italy, but normally the Holy Roman Empire, we're going to start up here in what is modern-day Germany. So, as you can see, this is a late game that I'm playing right now, and you can see I basically conquered pretty much all of Europe as the Holy Roman Empire, and I'm even in the Middle East. So this is kind of a what if scenario. So I am invading France. I am currently besieging southwestern France, and Poland is still around. The Byzantines are still around, although I am fighting them. And then we also have the Mongols are over here in the Middle East. So this one's a little bit later. I spent even longer on this one. Here's the Byzantines. So as you can see, the Byzantine Empire never went away. We conquered the Turks. We conquered Egypt. We even went up into Russia. And so you can see right here, this is my campaign. This is going to teach you a lot about the Crusades, the Pope, the Mongols, interactions with different cultures. As you can see, we got North Africa, we got parts of Southwest Asia, and then we're even going to get different groups such as the Timurids. And these are kind of the lesser known, but they're kind of like the Mongols as well. So as you can see, I have these armies right here. Keep in mind when you do, you're not playing this map the entire time. When you do attack, you
My
go
master
into
will reward me for your death.
a real-time battle. So this is I love playing this game. You could spend hours doing it. That's Medieval to Total War. That's our number 4 game. And our final game is going to be one that probably a lot of people are familiar with, and that is Civilization 5. Now, Mr. Elson, why did you pick Civilization 5? Why didn't you pick 6 or 7 or 4 or any of the other ones? So the most recent one is 7. 5 came out about 15 years ago. 5 is seen as probably the best. Now, everyone has their favorite civilization, but if you were to poll everybody on what is the best civilization game, most people would probably say Civ 5 is the best. Now, I will say Civilization is probably, it's not an easy game to get into. And what I mean by that is it's very complicated and it takes a while to get to know all the systems. Okay. Let me just show you this. I'm just gonna pull up my game. Unlike the other games we covered, it's not a lot of battles, it's more strategy. It's a long game. And as you can see, alright, let's go down this. Okay.
Your people are no longer happy.
Okay, whatever. They can be unhappy. I don't care. Okay, so as you can see right here, this game is, you are basically playing in the world and you get to pick a civilization. Mine, I chose the Huns. There are dozens of civilizations to choose from. So I chose the Huns. There's the Russians, the Spanish, the Inca, the Indians, all these different civilizations. Now, I don't know why my game looks kind of blurry. I don't know why it's doing that, but for the most part, you have your different cities and you are basically going to be exploring the world, forming alliances. So as you can see, I'm friends with Ragusa, and it takes place in the ancient world, and just like Rise of Nations, you go all the way up to the modern day. So this game is a lot of fun, but it takes a while to get used to it. So you're going to be building things. Think of it as like you're building a city, you're building a civilization, but it's not about like, a lot of battles. Like you're going to be researching stuff, you're going to be creating a religion. So maybe you're going to create the Huns and then you're going to make them, I don't know, a specific religion, or you're going to have it where they're very peaceful. Maybe you're going to have it where they develop nuclear weapons in the modern age. And there is a bit of a learning curve, though, I will say that. But anybody can tell you that Civilization, just stick with it because it is so much fun. It's so addicting. So as you can see right here, I've only encountered 3 other major civilizations. The Songhai, Indians, and the Russians. So there's other civilizations out there, we just haven't found them yet. And then we have me, Attila. So I'm beating the other civilizations. I have not started any wars yet, but that'll come later. So anyways, that is Civilization. So recap, we had Age of Empires 2, we had Rise of Nations, we had Rome Total War, Medieval 2 Total War, and finally Civilization 5. So those are 5 games that I recommend if you want to learn a little bit more about history, specifically some world history. And maybe in the next video we'll cover another 5 games that help you learn some history. So hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.